Okay, now let's discuss these pieces which lead up to projects. I'm going to start with project categories. In the last video we mentioned that you can assign project categories to the different leaves of the network policies, which will help you sort through the different projects in your programs. And in this screen here is where you can define them. The project categories can help you both filter projects in a program by their category, whether that's like say rehab or preservation, any categories you set up, but it can also help you to filter out bridges which are candidates for this type of work in the needs list. And this is where you can associate different actions as these are rehab actions, and then from that you can sort through the needs list to say, all right, what are all my bridges which need rehab work? The funding sources. Funding sources is something that's been available since 5.2.2, so I'll only briefly mention them here. You can create and edit funding sources and attach projects or programs to them. And doing this will allow you to see how much you've already allocated from each source to a project or program, but this piece isn't necessary for optimization. So some agencies may find it useful, but you're not required to use it. Okay, and then lifecycle policies. This part kind of requires a little bit of thought because we're going to be dealing with the life cycle cost analysis. Life cycle cost can really be summarized as what's the value of doing work now instead of later. And in order for the software to answer that question, it needs to know what the typical later scenario would look like. So for this reason, you need to codify your state's usual behavior for preservation, rehab, and replacement using these life cycle policy rules. You'll need to set up the rules for what actions you would perform and when typically would you use them, which is what these if, these and or statements are for. Then you can specify which structures use which policies. If you only have one policy for all your structures, this will be relatively straightforward. But this gives you the flexibility to define different policies for, say, state versus local, or NHS versus non-NHS, or perhaps differing by district. If you have different approaches to different sets of bridges, here you can assign the different policies. You can specify which bridges are affected by which policies. And then the score from the life cycles, the value of doing, I guess the benefit of doing the work now instead of later, is going to be included in the life cycle node of your utility tree. This is where that score will be included. So make sure that your weight of the life cycle node is accurately set for the kind of work that you're doing. Remember, you can use the utility weights to temporarily reweight the different nodes. Preservation may want to lean almost exclusively on the life cycle node when you're really trying to make decisions based on is it better to do something now or later. But perhaps replacement projects or replacement programs, this node would be of less benefit, and you would weight it accordingly.